You are now listening to the Super Coach Experience. The Super Coach Experience. The Super Coach Experience.
Hello and welcome to the Super Coach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Turbos. We got a full panel here. The coach of Tripjack and Mafia, Mikey. How are you, Mikey?
Yeah, good as always, mate. Keen to chat some Super Coach.
As always, the coach of Ramen Noodles, who's coming off a really hot week. Jake, how are you, Jake?
I'm good. Yes, hot week indeed.
And the sole reason, the sole founder of the Turbo Hammies Cup. Turbo Hammies Cup is coming first overall in the leagues. Kane, you've been quite an important part of the community for a long time, but you've finally been in and throughout all the podcasts this year. Welcome, Kane.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. Yeah, I've kind of had a few little stints in a few of the different podcasts over the year this year. First time doing any of them this year. I haven't been on anything other than social media before. So, yeah, it's been an interesting season.
How have you found transitioning from a listener to a podcaster?
It's not that difficult, really. When you're looking at Supercoach all the time, you've always got thoughts. You've always got ideas, plans, and I just enjoy talking Supercoach. So I don't feel like I'm a podcaster. I just chat Supercoach.
I agree. I think when me and Mikey started, it was more for the fun of it because he'd call me and we'd talk for an hour anyway about Supercoach. So it just kind of, I guess any Supercoach fan can really, really just adapt to a podcast if they enjoy it. Sure. Yeah, sweet. And so Jake, coming off a hot week, what went right for you?
I don't know. I had a few scorers that I guess went all right. I had Adam Reynolds. He got a ton. Majority of people captained Turbo. I think I was lucky in regards. I had my VC on Dane Laurie, who I guess was the only down point in my week. He got a 2. I was basically playing with 16 players. But if I had, I know there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, why would you loop Cody Walker?" I mean, if I was in that situation, I would have looped Cody Walker 100% at 150, but I couldn't. So I was lucky in that regard.
Yeah, let's who's echoing off that? Anyway, let's address the elephant in the room. I looped Cody Walker, and I feel like I've missed 2 of Tommy's 200 plus scores.
So did Kano.
Yep, so did you, Kano. I've looped 2 of I've missed 2 of Tommy's 200 plus scores. But I think by the point I've realized he's going to break the record, I've already accepted it. I feel like the record is deservingly his. What do you think, Mikey?
Yeah, look, mate, the fact that he didn't even play 80 minutes, it definitely is. I know I love Nathan Cleary, but let's face it, Tom Trbojevic game really suits Supercoach. The fact he can do that without any goal kicks, it's crazy to think that, to be honest with you, I think he could push 300 if he played 80 minutes on the right day. But, yeah, he deserves that record. I thought with updates, I didn't think he'd get it. I thought he'd stay just below, but I'm glad he got it, man. I'm happy I captained him, but at the same time, I can't believe, and I'm sure fans can't believe that you didn't captain Tommy. It's the second time this year to not captain him on a big score. And, yeah, look, like Jake, if Cody Walker, if I had him as my VC, I would have looped for sure as well. So,
see, the thing is that we haven't brought up, Jesse Ramian was out. So I have 1 trade left, and I was able to trade Ramian to someone who was playing on that last day if I really wanted to. I feel like it was a waste of a trade. I'll just use the free loop. I had the VC on Cody Walker. And up until the Ramian fucking news, I was actually going not to loop, and Tim was calling me crazy, and I was like, honestly, if Tommy gets 100 and Shusha gets 60, it's not worth it for me. And the Ramian,
exactly the same conversation with me.
Yep, and the Ramian news just forced my hand, so it's really. I hate it, but I love it. I love the fact that Tommy is now the record owner. Kane.
Yes.
You go.
I got a.
Oh no! Sorry. You go by DrKando. So, the other day, someone pointed out to me because I said your name to someone, and is it DrKando or DrKando?
Well, I've always grown up being Endo, and the Kando thing is purely a Supercoach thing. No one else calls me that anywhere else. So it's Kando on all the socials and all the podcasts. People call me that. So yeah, I just go by that online these days.
So someone brought it up to me that it's a play on words, can do, because a doctor can do.
It didn't cross my mind.
Okay.
That works.
Also, you're a chiropractor, right?
I'll take it.
You're a chiropractor?
Yes, I'm a chiropractor.
So, have you ever seen this show?
Which show?
Manly
He's been doing his
I would have
homework.
liked to have actually seen his techniques.
Sorry?
I would have liked to have seen him actually in his treatment room doing that.
Yeah, I know. So, you're that type of chiropractor, or what does your job involve?
Well, most of my work is based on pain management and function. So getting people's bodies to work properly, effectively.
Very good. And having that doctor title is something not to play down because of a TV show. So how did you go on the weekend? Obviously, you looped Cody Walker.
Yes, I was going really well. I had a really good start. I had Joey Manu with a big score early. So I felt like I was sitting ahead of where par was at the time. And then we had the Cody Walker 150, 159. I thought it was probably going to go up as well, but it didn't. It went down. That kind of threw me. I was going to not loop. I was going to leave it on turbo and just ride it out. And then Ramian was gone. I had a free loop to do, and I feel like if turbo gets 120 and has a spell, that's probably a pretty likely scenario. I'll take that extra 30 points. Yeah, and if he gets 180, I'm only going to lose 30 points, and I won't even be mad because I'll enjoy having watched him play. And he just happened to blow it out of the park and pull out a 226. So I did say that even if he gets 200, I won't be mad before the game. I was pretty mad.
He was on 200, and I was on the same boat as you. I was like, if he gets 200, I'm not mad because it was the right play. But geez, I'm mad because it was the right play, and we got disadvantage for it, which is just how Supercoach works. And Timmy, our good mate, kept captaincy on him. Thank God he was considering for feeder, and thank God
again.
Again. And imagine if that happened for the Tommy's 220. I'm glad he kept it on. Yeah. Tommy extended his lead again. Timmy, sorry. So we're happy for the Billy Armies there. Mikey, how did you go on the weekend?
Yeah, I had a lot of bad luck. So I did say previously in the podcast, my plan with that one trade would be if Campbell Graham is out, I'll use the trade and to keep 17 on the field. Just with all the injuries and stuff, like I only had 19 players, so I opted to just cop an AE instead of wasting the trade because, let's face it, this is a final round now before we go into finals. And realistically, I want to try and finish nice in the rankings, but also do well in my cash comps and all my head-to-head comps. So I think it's just, just kind of try and struggle along and survive till then. So, yeah, I had to cop an AE for Campbell Graham, and then like you, Ramian got ruled out. Pretty furious, to be honest, when that happened, because I was like, damn, I'm going to have to cop 16 players here, and I'm going to take a big hit. But yeah, kept it on Tommy. Actually, because that happened, and like with all the changing around of the games, it actually worked in my favour, because if the games stayed the way they were, I would have kept the VC on Cody Walker. Because it got switched, I didn't have somebody to loop Cody Walker with, because Campbell Graham was already out. So because of that, I single-handedly got a better score, because without that, I would have, like you guys, like, of course you're going to take 150 from Cody Walker. I thought the game would be a bit more closer and the Sharks will throw a little bit more, but I wasn't expecting a 200 from him. But yeah, I pulled a 1469, and even with only 16 players, I managed to do to go up 49 spots. So I'm still sitting at in the 3,000. So look, man, pretty happy. Solidified my spot in the Turbo Hammies Cup final. So looks like I'll be versing Barnesy. So yeah, just trying to hang on for another week, but it's another tough week of Supercoach for most of us without trades.
Bloody hell, some guys are blessed on the dick like you are with
Look, mate, you create your own luck. You create your own luck.
Yeah, sure. So
look, man, go on.
So I've just noticed, Kane, you're wearing a Central Coast Bears jersey.
Yeah, mate. Long time Bears fan. Still waiting. Not expecting much, but still waiting.
my dad's actually a supporter, so he's a very big fan. I supported them as a kid, so go the Bears. So
yeah, well, growing up on the Central Coast, they were linked with a lot of the stuff we did here on the coast. We had a lot of their players come up and do gala days and training sessions and all that sort of thing. So we got pretty close with the players. So that's where that came from.
Very good. So this week is absolute carnage once again in Supercoach. I think we're
going to use that word.
Yeah, mayhem.
This week is absolute mayhem. I think it's going to be like this for the rest of the season, and we've pretty much going to dissect it. Mikey, I'll let you lead the way. What is your tactics leading into this? We both have one trade left, so I'm interested to see how you're going to tackle it.
So yeah, tough week yet again with team lists. I'm someone that one of my poor trades this year was getting Campbell Graham in the time I did, so I'm down a centre wing again. Look, with the team list, I think there is a small chance Jerome Hughes doesn't play. Although I do think, like they did against Penrith, they named the full strength side. I think they just want to get the job done against Manly and lock up lock up the minor premiership, and then from here you'll see the Storm rest plays, I think, for the rest of the year. Question marks on Nico Hines, if Jerome Hughes, there's so many question marks. So look, I have 19 players available, actually 20, but if two of my centre wings go down, I'm in trouble. I have contemplating using the trade, but I really don't like the likes of the centre wing. I think if I'm to make a trade, it's got to be a really top-notch bloke that I can rely on with base and high ceiling. So yet again, as I said earlier in my spiel, I don't think this week's to use my last trade. If I had 3 to 4 trades, I'd definitely be using this week to get to finish strong. I am going for a few first places in my cash leagues to try. So that's kind of my goal. But at the same time, I think you've got to cop it now, because it would suck to go into elimination finals next week and then bow out. So I think I should use my last trade when I'm desperate of getting a win. So a lot of bad team news with Hauer and Ira. That's another tough one. I'm not going to play him this week, but I expect to get him as my AE. I think for the people that are stuck having to play 16 plays this week and then cop an AE to get the 17, I think it's kind of like a buy round. Just get ready to have a good target with your vice captain, and you kind of get 2 shots at the captaincy. So, with Tom versus Melbourne this week, I don't think we'll be looking at a 200-plus score. I think you can still get a big score, so I think that's kind of where my tactics are lying. Do what I did last week. I went up the ranks and won some head-to-head leagues, so kind of just try and stay afloat this week and hold that trade for as much as I can.
I agree. I think if you got one trade left and you can pretty much field a whole side, so a whole side is 16 players with an auto emergency. I think that's smart to keep that going. But I'm actually using my trade this week. I want to hear your thoughts on this, Jake. So Ben Hunt has been ruled out for 4 weeks. What a bloody bad trade that was.
We told you.
He's been ruled out for 4 weeks, and Jaden Brayley has conveniently been rested on the same week. So I'm pretty much forced into. I'm not forced into making a trade, but I've also got Cody Nikorima and Sean Johnson in the half, so I've got to do something somewhere. Since Jaden Brayley will be back healthy next week, I'm actually doing Sean Johnson to Braden Trindle. I want to hear your thoughts on it, Jake. Braden Trindle's stats while playing 80 minutes. He has scores of 84, 112, 47, and 84 and 53. So, got now goal kicking, now the chief playmaker. I want to hear your thoughts on it as a Sharks fan. I mean, if I had more cash to go to someone else, I would do it, but I think I can't not play two players this week.
I mean, it's not an ideal player to bring in at this part of the season, but I guess at that cash, he's an all right one. I'd sort of be worried about maybe Moylan coming back in. I think Trindle still probably gets half back, and Moylan will pay 5'8", and Tracy back to the centres, or wing, or whatever they decide to do. But yeah, I mean, he's been scoring well. He scored, I think, a double on the weekend, a couple of try assists, so he's heavily involved in our attack. And we do have a kind draw to the end of the season. I think we have Melbourne somewhere in there, which is a guaranteed loss at this point. But I mean, look, bring him in, and just hope. I mean, if that's all you can kind of afford, then I guess it's an all right one. He's going to get you maybe 45, 50 at least.
If not, I can go Schuster to Kalen Ponga or Pappenhausen. But I feel like it's dumb to trade out a player playing 80 minutes.
Yeah. I wouldn't be doing that with the team that you sort of are stuck with at the moment.
Kano, what's your thoughts on that one?
It's definitely a risky play with quite a few weeks to go and not necessarily knowing job security and that sort of thing, because you could end up in almost the same position you're in now next week if he's not in that half position and back to the bench. So I don't know. That's a tough call.
TopSport have jumped on board as the Supercoach Experience sponsor. Australian owned and run, TopSport is the place to go for all your betting needs. They have specialty markets that all the other bookies don't have, plus an easy-to-use app to navigate. They've already helped us so much, and we want to keep helping them, and we want to help them help you. So if you love a punt, you'll love TopSport. Head over to topsport.com.au. Use the code SCEXPERIENCE when signing up. That lets them know you're coming from our show, and they'll take extra good care of you. Over 18, gamble responsibly. Use the app TopSport for all your betting needs. Mikey?
Yeah, I don't like it at all. Like what I'm doing this week. I don't think it's bad to cop an extra player down. It's fine to field 16 this week. Fair enough if you're in 4 or 5 sudden deaths to get into the finals, and maybe you need to make a play, but it wouldn't be Trindle. But I think it's fine to just play 16 plays if you have to, because I think when it comes finals time, which is next week, you're going to want that one trade. We don't know what's going to happen with Nico Hines. Your halfback will go down injured. You've got no depth to cover there. So, yeah, I think, we'll look how it's going. Each week, plays are just going down. So, yeah. It's a tough one. Fair enough, if you could bring in an absolute gun, then maybe it's a bit more appealing. But, look, it could be an absolute super pod move. And if you don't go Braden Trindle, I think he'll score really well.
I think I'm looking at my ranking in all my leagues this week, and I'm either well established or well out. There is one. I think it's the SC Experience $50, the first one.
Yeah.
So
I'm also close in that one with you.
I'm coming ninth, so I actually haven't completely checked what sort of win gets me a win there, but let's have a look. So ninth,
different ball game when you're playing head to head.
So ninth, I am 1 point out because you and around the corner had a draw by the look of it.
Yeah, we had a draw. He gained about 40 points on updates one, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and ended up tying with me, all things.
So pretty much I need one of you guys to lose and I got to win this one. So I'm going to try and get into that one and I'll limp my way to the end. How about that?
Nah, you're not getting in, mate. You're not getting in. Save the trade, you're not getting in.
Yeah, very good. Jakey, what are your trades this week?
Well, I have 0 trades, so I can't make any. Used them both last week. Kind of hurts that Dane Laurie sort of went down. He's another non-playing player for the rest of the season, but I have enough depth. I guess if I didn't waste 4 trades on Bradman Best throughout the season, I probably will be wasting another one this week. I think he's the most traded in Bradman Best, but if I brought him in, he'd be injured again, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I'm stuck. I've got enough depth, hopefully, to get me through the end. Like Mikey, sort of CHN going down is a bit annoying because he was guaranteed sort of a starter for everyone. But yeah, I've got enough players. Hopefully, they all stay fit.
And you got Ponga, don't you, Jake?
Yeah, and I got Kalen Ponga last week.
Okay, that's. I think he's huge for the captaincy this week, so I think he can really. I wish I could grab Ponga. I think he's a good guy.
And Kano, what moves are you making this week?
Or thinking about.
Well, I currently have 2 trades left, and my biggest issue at the moment is that I've got Harawira Nera as my 3rd back rower, so he's still starting for me. So I don't need backup in my forwards at all, which is a bit annoying, just the way it worked out. So I'm potentially looking at selling To'o to a back rower, and I was looking at kind of Frizzell Murray options. The Frizzell option allows me to potentially, if Cleary loses enough money, go from SJ to Cleary after he drops. Maybe, I'm guessing probably after his second game back. So then I'll get him for the last 3 or something like that. So that's kind of where I'm swinging with my last 2 trades. I did toss up doing a Schuster to Ponga, Teddy, Pat sort of trade, one of those 3. But at the moment, I've only got 17 warm bodies, and Hughes is in doubt, and who knows if Ramian's actually going to be back this week. Harawira and Hira is one of them. Aaron is one of them. So I've got to kind of keep what starting players I've got. And so I'll likely go a To'o to Frizzell if I do anything.
I really like that plan. I guess that leads into our first hot topic. Nathan Cleary looks like he's going to be back this week. Mikey, as the Penrith fan, are we thinking that Nathan Cleary is a must-have if you can make it happen?
Look, either way, I don't know if he's going to go back to playing straight 80 minutes, but the thing is, Penrith already said it. If they were to play finals, if this was a finals week, he's 100% back. So it's more so now to make sure they get him back as good as possible. So the same thing's going to be this week. You're going to get Cleary coming back as best as they think they can. If they cop or lose a loss this week, I think they bring Cleary back next week. But look, I think even when he comes back into the side, it's not like he injured his leg or his foot, so he'll go straight back to kicking goals. And just like the impact Tommy has on the Manly side, I think he's going to really bring the best out of the rest of the players beside him. And, yeah, it's going to be hard, and especially with 1 trade left, it's going to be very hard watching him and not being able to get him. I wouldn't say he's a must-have because of the high chance of re-injury rate, and maybe because of injury he does just do what kind of Cooper Cronk did. I don't think he will, but there is all that chance. There's a lot of question marks. But as Kando said, I think he will drop a bit in price. And look, if you can make that trade happen, I 100% would, especially if you're holding a gun halfback in Hughes and DCE, a Cleary combo. He could make or break your final series. I think he's someone that if you're versing someone that doesn't have Cleary, that could be the difference. So, yeah, it's a move I'd definitely consider if I had the cash.
Jake, if we were someone up in the rankings, would Cleary be someone you would have to prioritise?
I guess so, but you kind of hope you get a week or 2 to sort of look at him. I mean, the ideal situation would be that he comes back this week. You sort of get a look at him. No one's really going to plan to bring him in this week. So you get a look at him, see what his involvement is, and then sort of go from there. I mean, if he comes out, he's playing 80 minutes, he's back to the Cleary of being, involved in everything, then, yeah, you bring him in next week against the Dragons, assuming he's dropped enough money. But they have a sort of up and down draw. I mean, South is going to be a pretty hard game because will Fisher Harris be back then, Mikey?
Yeah, he should.
He will be back. So I guess that sort of helps. I mean, you saw Penrith on the weekend. Their go forward, that's what sort of lost them the game. Like, they didn't have To'o, they didn't have Fisher Harris, and they just had no go forward. And even if Cleary was there, it would have helped. But off no go forward, I think they would have struggled regardless. So I guess having Fish back there, Tyler's going to be a massive, I think, hurt for a Cleary because he doesn't have to go forward to go off the back. But yeah, I think ideally, if you're up the top, you want to wait. Hopefully, Cleary plays this week and then go from there.
The lineup looks a lot better this week, the Panthers. So I think if Cleary was to come back this week, they've got a bit more go forward. Like if he comes back, does Capewell then go back to second row? Do they shift Sorensen back to the bench? But, dropping Robert Jennings, no Tyrone May, I think this side is probably one of the better sides they could field. I prefer Tago in the centres, but I think it's a decent side for Cleary to come back in point scoring wise. But I definitely think he's a chance of pushing Kenny off the bench and coming in off the bench potentially. Maybe they want to hold him there. Look, that could happen, but it just depends how serious Cleary thinks Manly can beat the Storm this week, and then maybe they've got a chance of minor premiership. But look, you're not going to take that off the Storm, so I think they should just focus on making sure he's 100%.
Manly are going to beat the Storm this week, just so you know.
You are a biased Manly fan, but
you are biased.
I definitely think they can.
Let's have a quick NRL debate. Kane, Tommy 2021, is he better than the Teddy 19, Hayne 09, Barber 12?
Well, as big a fan of Tommy as you are, I'm obviously going to say yes to one.
Oh, just plain yes.
Yeah, it's an easy decision for me. He's smashing it. There's no one has had a season like this.
I did see Ben Barber's stats was like 22 try assists in the whole season. Mikey, Tommy this year. He's Cleary was by far the best Supercoacher, but Tommy has 11 games, 8 tons, 390 plus.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, man. It's you know how much I like Nathan Cleary, and same with Tommy. It's hard not to like him. He's the most entertaining player to watch. It sucks that Cleary's been out with this injury. It would have been nice to just see them both go head to head and really challenge at Dally M. Because I think with all this time Cleary's having out, you can really give that medal straight to Tommy. Kind of how like Jack Whiten got it last year with just purely, Canberra. He'd always get the points when Canberra win in the game. So same thing will happen this year. It'd be good to have them both firing, but yeah, he's playing like he's on another planet, and I think he is from another planet. So look, man, I definitely think you can have that Hayne effect when Hayne took the Eels all the way to the grand final. I really can see Tommy doing that. So I do think they need to get into the top 4 to challenge that. But it's going to be an interesting finish of the season for Tommy.
Correct answer.
I'll jump in with a bit of maybe a devil's advocate. I think he's definitely the best player in terms of all those, but I wouldn't say he's had like the best season. He's only played 11 games. He's versed a lot of the lower teams. And like it's based on the whole season. Like he's got to carry Manly into the final series, potentially make a grand final and hopefully win. That's all his cement his spot as, one of the best seasons ever and like the best fullback, which I guess it does rely on the rest of your team, but I mean Tommy's a good enough player for that to happen.
Very
the
good.
only player that's really lifted the team as much as Tommy lifts Manly is Joey lifting Newcastle. There's no other player that's had a big an impact on a team as those two.
100% agree. Their teams are so different. Like you see when Tommy went off, I had a mate say to me, I need Garrick to score, and he went to fullback, and I was like, they're going to be lucky to score. And Sharks scored twice.
Sharks scored.
Honestly, I didn't expect them to score twice. I expected Manly maybe to score once, but that's just how much of a difference he makes. Next hot topic, Mikey, kick it away.
Yes. So we've had key inclusions coming back. So if you've got the trades, which, we've got to assume there are people out there, maybe guys you could target to get ahead. There's going to be a lot of guys out there this week that will need to get a win in the head-to-head final. So would you be considering we'll start with you, Sabs. Would you be considering any of the guys like maybe Mitchell Moses, who is back, or Zach Lomax, for example? Do you think players like this could help you get ahead in some of the finals this week, or would you take a bit of a risk and go someone like Bradman Best instead? What do you think the best option for trying to secure a win this week?
I think the best way to go about it is not go a Bradman Best or your average player. I think a Zach Lomax or a Mitchell Moses will get you ahead. I don't think they're the right type of players, but it's the right type of mindset. Whereas Bradman Best, you're kind of following the pack because he's the most traded in this week. You want to go someone like maybe, I think Jordan Rapana is in the top 10 traded in, but if you've seen his stats over the last 3 weeks, you would say he's been performing really well. Kane, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Is there any sort of player that you've been eyeing off? Henry here says Mitchell Pearce is a better option than Trindle. So he's a type of player that can get you ahead. This is the time of season for the ultimate pod because you only need this ultimate pod for 2 or 3 weeks to perform well. What is your thoughts and who are you eyeing off?
Well, the guys that I was talking about before as my potential options were literally just a back rower because I need someone to fill in a space there, and then I'm looking at ceilings. That's the only other thing. So looking at those fullbacks, which are all going to be pods. Only Turbo is going to be the non-pod in the fullback position. So people are going to have Dewey, people are going to have Ponga, people are going to have Pat, people are going to have Teddy. It's a 4-player mix for a second fullback position. So picking which one goes big is going to be a big difference maker coming towards the end. Other players that you're looking at, again, you're still looking at ceilings and runs. So as much as you're saying not to go for someone like Best, if you've got other pods in your side, then you go and get Best, who's got a big ceiling, who can then cover some of those other teams that are.
Yep, I agree.
Sorry, lost you.
Yeah, you lost connection. That's all right. Jake, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah, he's still there. He did mention all the fullbacks and everything. He did not mention Latrell Mitchell, who's coming off back-to-back tons.
That's true too.
In your considerations?
Yeah, I think throw Latrell in there for sure. He's just like Kano was saying. He's in the pod category for fullbacks. It's Turbo then the rest. Teddy's sort of highly owned, I guess, but the rest of them are the rest. Another player I want to throw in there for, I guess, a high ceiling sort of player that's come back is Val Holmes. I think he can sort of go on a bit of a run. He scored good points. I think he's 7% owned. I just had a look. So I think Val Holmes throw in there, centre wing as well, which I know a lot of people kind of be short with when they got say AJ or Brian To'o. So throw him in there as a bit of a pod as well.
Very, very good thinking there. I've actually got him myself, so that's something that's gone right for myself. Mikey, any other players that you think we haven't mentioned that you think people can use to get them ahead?
I think another one too, I know a lot of people will be struggling with the hooker position. I know, we briefly mentioned, but Harry Grant, I think, is also another one that if you could look to bring in to kind of lock in that dummy half position, which I think is very hard to fill. If you got Brandon Smith, I'd lock him in there, but really everyone else, like Cook's really on and off, hot and cold, and seems like he's just losing try assist after try assist every week. It's very frustrating as a non-owner, where Harry Grant, it doesn't matter if he's on the bench, the impact he has on that Melbourne side, and it's ridiculous. And, when he's playing an 80-minute role, he's going to be a must-have, especially for next year if he gets that role. But with their draw, it doesn't really matter who they verse. He's, him coming off the bench, he provides good impact. I think he's someone that has a decent ceiling in a dummy half position where, a lot of people might only be plugging a 50 and 60 with who they have at the moment. You can get ahead an extra 20 to 30 points with a move like him. So I know a lot of people are bringing in Harry Grant this week, and I'd be doing the same if I had the trades. If you had the money, Caden Brayley up to Grant would be a big move. I'd even consider selling Damien Cook to him as well, as Bunny's draws running a bit harder. So I think his try assist will be obsolete.
Kane, you actually have Harry Grant. What are your thoughts on him and his role at the Melbourne Storm?
I think his position's pretty well locked in. I think he's going to do that 20-minute stint on the bench to start with and play 60 minutes. And as an owner, I'm happy with him playing 60 minutes in a team that's dominating everyone, basically. He's right at the center of it all, and he's just so dangerous. He's going to put on points every week. And I've held him for a long time, since before the first buy. But I bought him originally to save trade later. So I wasn't going to use trade to get him out and bring him back again. So I kind of copped that on the chin and just sat him there for that long period. But now that he's back in and everyone's trying to chase, then I can kind of sit still and leave him there and enjoy it.
We just got a question from the Whisperer here. Do you think podcasters who aren't ranked well should just delete their pods?
Well, I wouldn't be on here either.
Joshy is still stirring.
I think it's totally fine, Josh. I guess when you have a podcast with 2 or 3 guys, we have better chances of at least one of us doing well. So I think that the fact that you're solo, I think it's totally fine, mate. The boys next year, come back time.
Nice. Jake, I think
Yes.
he was – so with someone with no trades, what is your plan to get ahead of the pack going forward in your head-to-heads? I guess that's what you're mainly focusing on at the moment.
Well, I think I've got enough pods, I guess. This week, I guess, sort of there's not really much you can VC and captain because Manly are playing Melbourne, and that kind of counteracts both of their main players. So I think, going forward, if you've got no trades, you're looking at your matchups and sort of playing if you've got enough players, if you've got some ones that you can sort of sub in that throughout the round to sort of, depending on if you're behind or up, either match them or play someone else you got in your team to potentially get the win, which is what I'm going to have to do from now on.
I agree. And Mikey, if you did not have trades, what would you be prioritizing to get ahead of the pack?
Oh, if you had the trade, sorry, or if you didn't?
If you didn't.
If you didn't, I guess if you didn't, you'd like to hope that, you have some depth or you brought in some pods or, that you actually did something with it. So I think from here, it's going to normally in most seasons, you switch up your captain option and do pod captain options to try and get ahead of the pack. But obviously with the form that Tommy's in, it's going to be very hard to do that on most weeks. The draw's a bit up and down. They do have some tough matchups. 100% this week. I think, you wouldn't go wrong captaining him. But I think this is a week where you can do something different and try and get ahead that way, especially if you're locked in with a few finals and you're still at a decent rank to try and jump up overall. Maybe this is the week to do it. Kind of if you've got a few guys that you normally wouldn't play, just try and mix around. And, example, if you have no trades left, maybe you focus on depth, then maybe switch your side around a bit and take a bit of risk where you can, especially in the centre wings. I think if you've stacked up on centre wings and you've got 2 or 3, I think playing pod ones could be a good way to get ahead. It just depends if you're playing overall head-to-head because I just focus on matching what your opponent does if you're ahead, and if you're not, then do a Hail Mary captain option. So it totally depends on the way you're playing.
I think this week is actually the perfect week to get a different captain option out there going. So I'm interested to hear all your guys' thoughts when we go to captains. Is there any other hot topics you guys want to bring up before we do the Facebook questions? Because we got a fair bit today.
Oh, I'm happy to go to questions.
Yeah.
Usually cover stuff when we go to them anyway.
Yeah. Kane, you got anything?
No, good to go.
All right, awesome. Let's move on. All right, Facebook questions here. I posted the post yesterday, and I'm so glad that little sound effect goes for quite long because it took me a while to get to it. So our first question here is Josh Williams. I'm not reading that one yet. Cameron Robbins traded out Hines this week to Ponga. Need a second row forward. Was looking at Kolomatangi over the likes of Maddo due to his run. Don't have Crichton. Who's the preference for you guys? Will leave me with only one trade left. Let's start with Kane.
Well, like I said before, I think Frizzell's a good option. The Knights have a really good run. Pierce is back as well, who is able to feed him on that right-hand side. Really good matchups, good base, pod, and cheap as well. He's only in the 470 or something like that at the moment. So, yeah, for someone with his output, I think he's a good buy.
Is that Tyson Frizzell?
Tyson Frizzell, yeah.
Yep. Kolomatangi, what do you think of Kolomatangi though, Mikey? I gave myself a ISO haircut today, and I look like Kolomatangi myself here.
It doesn't really look like Kolomatangi, but yeah, he's a buy that I did recommend to. He's a buy I did recommend to a few people, and I thought he was good. But right now, if I was bringing someone in, it's basically the two guys that Kando said.
Yep.
If you got the money for Crichton, I would. But I'd honestly think Frizzell's a great buy with his run. But my number one pick would be Cam Murray. I think just, Bunnies do have a few tougher matchups, but even this week against the Parramatta Eels, I think the Bunnies can do what the Roosters did to them last week. I think there'll be points on offer in that game. And Cam Murray's really stepped it up in the past 3 weeks, and he's at a decent ownership. So I'd probably target those two guys mainly. Kolomatangi, his base has been a lot better than I thought it was. It's like 50 or 60 if he doesn't get a try. So, yeah, he could be another good one too. I just think I'd prefer the other two. If it's a money issue, then, yeah, maybe go the cheapest of the three. But I don't hate it.
JC Charles, I want to get your thoughts on this. Can get Best or Manu, possibly Garrick next week for To'o, or hold the trade if other injuries hit. So he can get a gun center winger in. But if you're getting one in, Best, what do you think of Best? I know you've been burnt twice by him, but if you had the trades, would you be tempted?
I don't know if I only have one trade. I mean, if he's got depth, I guess, for the rest of his team, then, yeah, bring in a Best. I think Joey Manu's back in the centres this week. Dal Copley's in the team, so I don't know if when Manu played wing last week, he had 20-something runs. When he plays centre, he has like 5. So I think Manu's sort of going to be he's going to go back to scoring, his 30s and 40s if he doesn't get any tries. So I'll probably stay away from him at that price. But, I mean, if you can afford like a Val Holmes, perhaps.
Yep.
But, I mean, Best, he looks good, but being burnt by him with injuries, he has just such a bad injury pass. So make sure you've got, I guess, good enough depth if you're using that last trade on a Bradman Best.
Kane, we're just talking about Joey Manu. You've got Joey Manu. How much of a blow is it that he's back in his preferred centre position? He's actually killed it at 5'8", killed it at fullback, and on the wing looks just as good. How do you feel as an owner of him playing centre?
I'm not necessarily convinced that he's going to stay there, because Copley's played most of his career at centre. So there's definitely an option where Copley goes into centre and Manu goes back to that wing after his performance last week. And then even if that doesn't happen, he played centre against the Cowboys and he was playing that roaming role from that position as well. I feel there's been a shift in how he is being used in the team. And whether he's at centre or wing, I'm not sure that it's going to matter too much anymore. I feel like he's coming in and getting involved in the middle of the field a lot more anyway. So as an owner, I'm happy. It's probably still a bit risky to buy him. But, I feel like he's going to have a pretty good involvement still.
I've kind of seen him pop up on the left side of the field as well. So he obviously, Tommy, during that origin period, has maybe started a movement of the centre going forward. I really want to see Nico Hines do that for Melbourne when everyone is fit. Mikey, I'm going to ask you this because you ranked quite well last year. Jared Starr says, Hey guys, I've dropped back to 45th overall, looking for some advice on my final trade. I want to trade Connor Watson to Harry Grant, partnering Brandon Smith at hookup. But I have Hughes and SJ in the halves. Do I need to save a trade so I can flip SJ in case Hughes gets rested?
Yeah, I like what he's thinking there, especially the Harry Grant trade to be tempted. But yeah, like what I'm doing this week, of course, you've got to save that trade. I'm in the same boat with Hughes and Johnson. And when you're sitting that high up, you're not going to be able to afford to not have a halfback at all. So I think you want to try and field 17 all you can, and if you can avoid an AE, you should do that. You're getting into the pointy end now. I think just hold him, wait a week, see what happens. But, yeah, Hughes is 100%. If he doesn't get rested, I reckon he'll definitely get rested a game coming up. If Melbourne take away this win and really solidify that top spot, you can see a lot of Melbourne players get rested, where I think the other players won't be. So, yeah, I'd hold that trade.
In my opinion, I think Connor Watson, Harry Grant is a bit of a luxury trade, especially at this time of the season. One trade left. You've got your depth in the halves is a bit shot. I really think you just wait and see how your VC plays out. You might get a free loop if obviously Jerome Hughes doesn't play. But Connor Watson, he's named back at lock. Who knows? He might go back to the bench. But with Jaden Brayley gone, Chris Randall might get a spell and he might go into hooker. So I really like that Connor Watson kind of gets that utility role if someone gets injured. Like he'll play in the halves, he'll play at hooker, he'll play at fullback if Ponga gets injured. So I wouldn't be selling Connor Watson at this point of the season. I feel like he's definitely luxury trade to be traded out. Jared Watson, Jake. SJ for Grant via Watto and Tohu to Frizz. Last two trades.
No.
Or save one to see what happens with Hines.
I think he needs to save one. I think regardless of that. So I just get a backup fullback. You kind of want a backup fullback with all sort of the pot options like you, Latrell, Ponga, Pappenhausen even next week. So I think probably one of them, probably SJ to Grant if he's assuming he has Jaden Brayley. I guess you could probably make that one. And if he's got enough forwards to cover, then I probably wouldn't be making the Tohu to Frizz one.
Yep. I agree. I think Tohu's a bit of dead weight on your team, but yeah, it's a bit tough if you're limited on trades. Kane, who is a priority this week from Hugh Winchester? Grant, Ponga, or Pappenhausen?
Good question. But it kind of comes down to what your hooker and fullback situations are. If you're looking at trading a Gutho to a Ponga or Pappenhausen, I'd probably just sit at the moment if you've only got a trade or two left.
Yep.
Trading out the warm bodies at the moment is a bit of a risk. But if you've got Jaden Brayley and enough at the second hooker, then obviously the Grant thing. But in a nutshell, just out of the three of them, I think the ceilings on the fullbacks is always higher than a 60-minute hooker. So I would be leaning towards those. And look, both of those fullbacks have their issues at the moment. Ponga with his sternum injury and Pat with minutes and involvement and wondering whether he's going to get back to where he was. He looked better this weekend. So I reckon you could flip a coin out of those two. And then Grant after them.
Mikey, do you think with the hooker position, a lot of people are saying, should I prioritize Grant, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he's a clear standout as the best player in the position, whereas in the fullbacks are clearly above every other position in Supercoach at the moment.
Yeah, I agree to you to a certain degree. If you've got two young fullbacks, then fair enough, I would be getting Harry Grant in. As I said, like, all it takes is an injury, or maybe they rest Brandon Smith on week. If he plays 80 minutes, God, not owning him then, which is going to be a nightmare to watch. Look, as I said, if I had the trades, he'd be one of my number one priorities, because I think at that position, with what he can produce and the attacking stats he can produce, I think it's a plus. And going into finals time with his ownership, I think it'd be a really good one to make. So, while I do agree with you, I do think, if you can get him, get him. Maybe not if it's your last trade, but if you can get him and have a trade left over, I would.
Jake, Jordan Tobin says Toa and Brayley out for Grant and Nofo have 5 trades left.
He's got 5, so he's kind of got to be a luxury there.
Yeah, so he's got Garrett, Gagai, Olam, and Talakai, and AJ.
Jeez.
It's a pretty...
I'll be looking at a centre wing, definitely. Nofo, you kind of got to wait. There's a bit of whisper that he might be rested, but I think he's going to play because they don't really have much else. They got Zach Cheney there, but look at who you're sort of versing. He even got his cash comps racked up. I mean, he can kind of sit. It depends how much he wants to push for the top 1K. And I guess if he wants Grant for the run home, then definitely Brayley to Grant's a good one.
I reckon if he's just if he's just outside the top 1,000, just sit it this week. And if he's got his cash comp locked up, sit it this week because there's a good chance you could probably still go up with the players you already have. And then maybe, you can trade every other week after that. Yep. All right. Anything else?
I like it.
Sounds good.
Kane, last question. Ben Grayson and Bai, if named at fullback.
He is.
He is, but I've just got to mention he looked quite good when he played there last week.
He did. He actually looked like he was sweeping a lot and doing it quite well, which I wasn't really expecting from him, to be honest. And if you've got trades in hand and you want to stash someone who's playing fullback with a good run home and is he centre of wing 5'8" or something like that? What's his jaw?
Fullback centre wing. He's stashing in the centre wing.
We can stash him in the centre wing. I think he's only in the 200s for price, so he could be a good downgrade option for someone who's trying to get some cash build up for a Cleary purchase or something like that. So there's definitely that to consider.
Not a bad shout there, but I think he may have signed with St. George, so I guess keep an eye and see how that develops. Hopefully not too soon, but I guess if you've got the depth, go for it because it's a decent option and they've got a good draw. But just be aware he might be moving to St. George and might not play fullback. So
I think it's past the transfer window now anyway, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
August.
He's signed for Dragons for next year. But either way, I don't think they'll be not playing him. I think they'll need to play him because they'll try their best to climb up the ladder. But they won't have.
There's a massive backlog of teams throughout that 7th to about 12th pay.
Yeah,
it's been a very tough time.
Let's go around the room. Jake, who do you think is going to be 7 and 8?
Sharks and Newcastle.
Mikey?
I'm just pulling up the ladder so I can go, but one spot will be the Knights. I think with their run home, I think the Knights will jag the 7th spot. And 8th, Titans. It'll be Titans and Knights, I think.
Titans and Knights. Well, what do you reckon, Kane?
Yeah, I think with you boys, I think the Knights with their run home should be able to get some more wins compared to the others. It's that last spot that's the tricky one. I might go with the Titans as well.
I definitely think the Knights are there. I would have said the Warriors a couple of weeks ago, but I think they've been decimated by injuries. Tigers, I would have also said a couple of weeks ago, but I think they've had some terrible losses and you can't get into the finals if you can't win. Their draw doesn't really matter. It'll be the Titans. I wouldn't be surprised.
They do have a tough run, the Titans. Bunnies in Melbourne soon too. I didn't realise that, but
I think we might see the Raiders there.
Well, I'm shocked you're saying that. Yeah,
Sorry?
they've got a tough run too.
Terrible.
Yeah,
they've got to expect that, mate.
All right.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Let's move on to bold predictions and captain options. Good episode, lads. All right, bold predictions and captain options. We'll start with you, Kano. What are you going with for your bold predictions and captains?
All right, bold predictions. I'm going to say Frizzell is going to get a try and go 90 plus.
Yep.
I think Rapana's going to have another big week and go 100 plus.
Yep.
And I think Tamalolo on the edge is going to have a big game and go 80 plus for him.
I like it. What do we think of Taumalolo on the edge, by the way, guys?
If he's playing 80, I like it. I think he could be a real, attacking stats kind of do what Fafita's doing. So, big one if you've got Lolo. I think it could be good.
And what do we think of Aitken on the edge as well?
I love Aiken on the edge. I think it's so good. And honestly, without the trades, it could be a sneaky one to plug in the center wing if you can hold 80 minutes there. He looks really good.
He looks so good, doesn't he? Jake, captain choices and bold predictions.
VC's on Ponga at the moment. It could very well be captain. I don't really have any other options I'm thinking of. Like probably VC, Ponga, captain for feeder, and probably take the loop if it's a decent enough score. Bold predictions. I'm going to go Ponga 120. I'm going to go Will Kennedy 90 plus, and Val Holmes 100 plus, and the Cowboys to beat the Titans.
Nice. Mikey?
Just quickly, we'll pass back to Kando. Candid into captain options.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't do my VC. No. My VC is still a little bit up in the air. I'm considering if I get Frizzell, putting it on Frizzell. I've got the temptation to still just chuck it on Turbo and see what he does. And then at the moment, I could also use Cody Walker. I don't always like using Cody Walker, just the reliance on his attack, particularly against Parramatta, who's usually has a decent defence. But my captain at the moment is on Duke.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good. Back to me. I'm going to go. I like what you're thinking there. I'm thinking very similar. I haven't really locked in anything yet, and just looking at it, as I said, my VC's got to be a good one because, either way, with Graham sitting there, I'm copying an AE, so I need to ensure I can get a good loop. I'd loop anything over 90 or even 85, I'd consider. It just depends what I think people go at the moment. It's looking like Cody Walker. I think he's probably the better option. I know you said about Parramatta, but I do think they can put a score on Parramatta this week. And if they do, his hands will be all over the ball. So I definitely think Cody Walker can turn up this week.
They have an awesome record against Parramatta in the last few games they've played each other too.
Yeah. So I think he's a great one this week, and I think maybe for the people that were burnt by him last week with the loop, he can reward you back this week. So I think he'll be a very popular VC option this week.
Yeah, fuck him for getting 150
at the moment. It's on Turbo. It won't end up on Turbo. I still think he could get a decent score. I still think he can score you an 80 to 90 against. I know that's a big call against a Storm, but I really think he can do it. But at the same time, my other main option this week is also Dewey. He has scored a try in both of the last performance, which worries me. And I thought for sure last week the Tigers would absolutely pump the Warriors, and they didn't. I actually am going to tip the Bulldogs this week in my tipping comp because I think they'll get beaten again. But if Tigers are on fire and have a really good game, I think he could be in for a big score, and I think he will be, with his ownership, he'll be a pod captain. So I think this week with how my team looks, if I don't loop Walker, I think Dewey could be the play for owners. Bold prediction. I'm going to kind of agree with Jake with the Ponga. I had him penciled in I'll go a bit higher than Jake. I'll go 140 plus. For Ponga, I think we have a field day and he'd 100% be in my captaincy option choices if I owned him this week. Cody Walker, I just banged on him. I think he'll go 150 plus again. I think he'll do. We'll go 150.
You've been very bold, Mark. You're usually not bold, mate.
I'm feeling good. So we'll go, because my third one's going to be a win. I'm going to have so I'll go Cody Walker 152 because I think he'll beat his score from last week. We'll go Manly to beat Melbourne as my other one, which is maybe one that Subs would have done. But I think they can win a close one. I really think they can take it down. It's going to be the match we wanted to see from Penrith and Melbourne. I think we'll get that treat this week with that game. So I'm looking forward to that one. To you, Sabs? No.
So my VC, since I've got Brayley and Hunt in the hooker that aren't playing, I've got a VC someone from the first night. So I've either got to go Barnett or Payne Haas. So I'm tossing up between both of them. I think I'll go Payne Haas at the moment, purely because I think he's more likely to hit 100. Barnett at the start of the season, I looked at his stats and here I think his high score was only 110 or something. Not that Haas has done much better, but I feel like Haas is more likely to do that. So that's why I'm sticking with him. And at the moment, it's on Dewey. I don't know where I'm going to go with it. Dewey for feeder, possibly Cody Walker, maybe Tom Trbojevic as well. I don't know. But, let's leave it on Tommy against Melbourne. I like it. Tommy against Melbourne, and that'll be my bold prediction. I said he was going to be my bold prediction every week. He's going to beat his BE, which is 152 or something. So 150. Let me have a look at his BE. So, it's 96.
BE's 96.
96.
So,
yeah.
Okay, that's a lot better.
Yeah, so,
that's a lot better, but that's still bold.
basically.
I'll give it to yourself. That's still bold.
Yep. Tommy to be his BE of 96. Nico Hines to go sub 30. Grant to...
Is this even if, say, Hughes is out and Hines plays 80 at half?
Yeah,
even
yep,
that?
yep.
Okay.
And Grant to go sub 30. And Melbourne to lose 13 plus to Manly.
He's lost support. He's lost
On
support.
the Harry Grant train because you just don't want him to do well, but those Melbourne ones are crazy.
I like them.
You do that.
I think they're very good.
Make sure you get on this week because you'll get a lot of value for a Manly 13 plus.
I'm definitely jumping on it. So I'll make sure to screenshot when I put. Oh shit!
What have you done?
You're still live. If that's what
We're
you're
still
worried.
going on.
I can't.
Did you want to plug your thing before you went, Savs? Your sporting experience. Addo's mentioned it on there. Top notch content.
Oh,
Jay
yeah.
Linton. Did you want to plug that before you went?
I honestly can't see the screen. I don't know where I am.
That's all right. Well, you're
Open
live.
the window.
So don't stress.
You can see me. You can
just
see me
smile.
still.
Yeah,
we
mate.
can see.
Everything's normal.
Okay, that's
Except
weird.
for whatever you're going on about.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Enter studio. Yeah, sure. Sporting experience. Do you guys happen to listen to it? Probably not.
I listened to the start of it, haven't finished it, but yeah, man, I think it's a good idea, and it's if you like those kind of podcasts like Kempy and all those, I think it's gonna be good.
I think that's
As someone who knows Jay, I was automatically on top of that one. As soon as it popped up, I was on.
What was it?
As someone who knows Jay,
Yeah.
and I still play cricket with his brother,
Yeah.
I was straight onto it as soon as it popped up.
Yeah, I think he was a perfect guest to have on. He's very similar to us, like Super Coach. He's just a lot better at sport than all of us. And I've got some good guests coming forward. I've got some pretty bad guests as well, who are pretty average at sport as well. So I think it'll be a pretty funny thing going forward. But I can't see myself still. So.
That's fresh. You're good. You look fine. Worry about it when you need to close the thing.
Fair enough. All right. Thanks for coming on, Kane.
No dramas. Thanks for having me.
I hope the
Thanks for debuting, mate. Good debut. Good debut.
I hope the Turbo Hammy Cup comes first.
Well, we're sitting first at the moment.
We are.
Be a big effort. We've been floating near there all year, and I think it's been a tough notch to get it. And I think it says a lot for all the guys in there create content for podcasting, and I don't think it's a fluke that we're up there. Not trying to make our own horn. I think it's good. I think we get it.
Yeah. Well, the top two leagues are both 20-man leagues as well, which is pretty inherited. That's the man league at the top. The man league is pretty cool.
All right. All right. I think I'm going to end it. I think I'm going to end it there.
Yeah, mate. It's like you started opening again or something.
It has to be from yours.
All right. Cheers, guys, for listening. That was absolute chaos just then, but cheers.
Anybody like some pound cake? I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some I'd like pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Cake. I'd pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake.